today I wanted to take a moment to celebrate the holiday season with you and to wish you a really beautiful time of year. I love this time of year. It's so magical, and I love the snow and the cold, and most of all, I love being able to have a big cup of hot cocoa. So, we're going to be making hot cocoa today together, but I'm going to show you how to do it from scratch. So, if you normally make it from a packet, it might be fun to try it this way. Making hot cocoa from scratch is a really lovely thing because it gives you a moment to really appreciate what you're doing. It creates a seasonal ritual, and I think that ritual is so important. It gives you time to kind of reflect and do things with intentionality. So I really think that moment of creating a cup of cocoa from scratch, whether it's for yourself or if it's for somebody you love, is such a beautiful thing to do. So, and you really deserve that. And I'm sure that your loved ones deserve it. So it's a way to make someone feel special, or to just give yourself a moment of serenity this holiday. So it's really easy too. And all you need, apart from some cocoa, are basic kitchen ingredients. So it should be simple. You can also kind of play around with it. So if you like to try a little pinch of cinnamon or nutmeg or even brown sugar instead of regular white sugar, you can kind of play around and perfect your recipe however you like it. You can add peppermint, coffee, all kinds of things. So we're going to go ahead and make that. But one of my other favorite things is how you top off the cocoa. And of course you can do so many things. You can use like sprinkles, or you can use a candy cane. But my favorite thing to use are marshmallows. Oh my gosh. They smell so good. Oh yes, they smell amazing. So they're also so squishy. So my favorite thing is to have some puffy, squishy marshmallows to put on top. And these ones were 99 cents at the drugstore. They are campfire mini marshmallows. Premium quality, apparently. They have this little weird guy on them. Anyway, so I'm going to try using these. And I'm really excited. But you can use whatever you want to top off your cocoa. So even if you like to create foam to top off your cocoa, you can just take the recipe that we're going to use today, and then you can put it in a blender for a moment, or use a frother and whip up a little bit of foam on the top of it, so it's like a cocoa cappuccino. Cococino? Yeah. You can make a cococino. So if you want a cococino, you can do that. Otherwise, I'm going to use just a ton of marshmallows. I'm going to make it snow. And I just wanted to squish them for a moment. squishing sound. Anyway, so we're going to be using marshmallows to top ours off. But whatever you end up using, I'd love to know. I'm always really interested in how people garnish their cocoa. So if you could tell us in the comments about how you garnish your cocoa, I would love to know, because I'm going to have a party in a few days, and so I'd love some fun ideas on how to top off the perfect cup of cocoa. So I'm gonna get to showing you. Like I said, it's really, really simple, and if you can buy the cocoa or cacao, which is probably the only ingredient you don't already have, then it ends up being much more affordable than having to buy pre-made cocoa. So finally, I forgot to say that I love making cocoa because it gives you an extra moment of enjoyment. And for those of you who practice intuitive eating, which can be a really great thing, this can be great for that. So what that means is that we're just taking a little bit of extra time to prepare our food, so that as we're making it, we're really appreciating the smells, how each ingredient smells, the textures, the temperatures, and the sounds, of course, of creating that, whether it's a meal or a snack or a drink. And doing that, it can help us when we actually experience the drink to really appreciate all facets of it. So this is a great thing to do if you're somebody who's wanting to really, really, really get more in touch with feeling satisfied by your food and the little treats that you allow yourself. So that's one more thing I forgot to add that I like about just making your own cocoa. I guess that sounds sort of like squishy and dopey, but it works for me. So anyway, okay, so let's get started, and I hope you really enjoy it. So here we have the main ingredients you'll need to make your own cocoa, starting with unsweetened cocoa powder or cacao powder. You'll want sugar. Like I said, you can choose your sugar type. You'll want salt. Any salt will do. And then you'll want milk, or half and half cream, or like I'm using rice milk. And you're going to want some vanilla extract. It doesn't have to be a fancy kind. We're just going to use a tiny bit. And of course, I'll want marshmallows. Most of these ingredients are pretty flexible, so you're going to want to play around. For the liquid, you may prefer a thicker dairy product, like milk or cream, and that's going to give you a richer and frothier cocoa. However, I prefer rice milk or even almond milk if you want it to be a little bit sweeter. So now we're going to go ahead and prepare the cocoa. The first thing you'll need is a saucepan on your stovetop. And you can go ahead and turn that on to a medium heat, medium low. And go ahead and get your saucepan warmed up. We're just making a single serving today, so the saucepan should be more than sufficient. And as we let that heat up, we're going to make sure we have the ingredients that we need on hand. So the first ones that we're going to use are the cocoa, the sugar, the salt, and then our milk product. However, we're going to only start off using a small bit of that milk product. So if you want to keep your heat on the lower to medium side to begin with, and then turn it up as we add a little liquid, it's not a bad idea so that nothing gets scalded. So what you'll want is to have 2 tablespoons of the cocoa powder, 1 to 2 tablespoons of the sugar, depending on how sweet you want it. I'm going to use 2, maybe a tiny bit more. And then you're going to want a pinch of salt on hand. You're also going to want to have a whole cup of the milk product ready. However, like I said, we're going to start out by adding just 2 tablespoons of the milk. So let's do that. So we put in the 2 tablespoons of milk, and like I said, really watch the heat to make sure that it doesn't scald. Let that heat up just a little bit. You can use a whisk or a spatula or a spoon to make sure that you just keep everything moving a little bit. There's not a lot of heavy whisking to do, but a whisk is probably best. So you want to start to add in the other ingredients. Now, when you first put in the cocoa, it's going to be pretty thick and chocolatey. That's okay. But if you find that it starts to get too thick, as you see mine is, you can always add a little bit of the milk product. I'm going to add a little bit of rice milk as I go along, just to make sure that things stay moving and don't get burnt on the edges. Like I said, you can also use a spatula to facilitate kind of scraping the sides of the saucepan a little bit, just to make sure everything stays together and evenly cooked. We're also going to add the sugar, and I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons that are fairly heaping. It may look like a lot, but we're balancing some really yummy, rich chocolate. So for me, it's just the right amount to have a couple big tablespoons. That's starting to look really good. Just whisk, whisk, whisk. Whisk, whisk, whisk. Just lots of whisking. Whisk your troubles away. It's looking good. So now we're going to add a pinch of salt as well. Just a pinch. Yep. Maybe just a tiny bit more. There we go. And again, the salt is really at your discretion. Some people like kind of like a salted chocolate or salted caramel, even kind of hot chocolate. So if you wanted to play around with sort of a salty sweet variation, you could. But we're keeping it simple. The important thing to look for is just that the cocoa and sugar especially are getting nice and dissolved into the liquid. Okay, it's starting to get warmer, to smell really rich and good. And as you're making the cocoa, just really enjoy the experience of it. It should be really calming. So we're just gonna let it heat up and keep looking for that. And then we're gonna add in the rest of the milk. And we can just whisk that occasionally and let it heat up. And then we're just gonna watch it and let it heat up a bit and check on the color. We want the color to be a nice rich chocolate brown, but not super dark. And there you can see it's starting to take on that nice milk chocolate color. And we can see the steam billowing up, so we know it's ready. We can also add in the vanilla, which is just a tiny bit. It's just 1/4 of a teaspoon. So we just end up with a whisper of vanilla that really kind of deepens the richness of the flavor. You can also see that there's starting to just be little traces of bubbles on the top, so we definitely want to stop before it starts to bubble. Of course, the most important ingredient is an adorable mug. This one was a gift from a friend, and it has a really cute cat and cat tail. I think a lot of the gifts I get are things with cats on them now that I think about it. So, it looks great. It smells so good. And the only thing missing are marshmallows. So I'm just gonna put a couple, maybe more than a couple. Maybe just a couple more. Perfect. So when you get it just the way you want, I hope you take a moment to smell it, to look at it, to feel the warmth in your hands around the mug, and then just really take a moment to enjoy. Get cozy with a book or a movie or a game or a friend, and know that I'm thinking of you this holiday season, and I hope it's your best one yet.